Hey everybody, so I want to do another video that's sort of a recap from the past. It's been a while since I've touched on this. It's to answer the question of why they behave the way they do. Why do they treat you the way they treat you? Why do they talk to you the way they talk to you? Why are they so diddly frustrating? And here is the answer. What they want is an emotional outcome on your part. So in the past, I've made the comparison of spiders and flies. When you think of a spider and a spider spins a web and it sits there and it just waits for whatever blows along or comes along. And when it's a fly, the fly gets stuck in the web. The spider wants to keep the fly. So it goes running over there and it wraps it with silk, injects it with venom. The silk restrains it and keeps it from leaving, and the venom weakens it. And then what does it get? Well, it extracts its supply from the fly. It sits there and drinks its cup of fly juice, and as the spider gets hungry, it goes back and drinks more from the fly, and the fly slowly dies. And then when the fly is just a dead, empty shell, then it discards it. Goes in and cuts it out of the web, and the dead fly falls to the ground. Other stuff happen to get caught in the web too, and the spider will go and cut those things out as well. See, a spider does not want anything in its web except for the things that it finds useful, which is usually just itself, additional silk, and half-alive flies and food sources, right? So, a narcissist is exactly like that. Now, the one thing you'll never see a fly doing, a fly doesn't sit there and say, "Oh, Mr. Spider, why are you doing this to me? Why are you, why are you slowly but surely killing me and sucking the life out of me? And how can you thrive on such evil?" I mean, well, flies can't really talk anyways, but if they could, they wouldn't be saying that. They would be saying, "Ow, get the fuck away," right? That's what a fly would be saying, I imagine. That's the nature of the spider. That's its nature. It's not the nature of the fly. It's the nature of the spider. And what you have to understand and realize is this person you're dealing with, that is the nature of the narcissist. That is the nature of the borderline. That is the nature of the abuser. That is the nature of the disordered. You with me? That is their nature. And maybe in the past you haven't seen it. Like any good fly, the fly did not see the web. The fly did not see the spider. And even if the fly did see the spider, didn't see the web, and it certainly didn't see things going the way they went once he was stuck. Right? And the deal is, now why you're having so much trouble trying to get away is because when flies try to get out of the web, when they start fighting and flapping their wings and trying to escape, the spider will go over there and wrap it up with more silk and inject it with more venom so that the fly gets weaker and the fly cannot leave. So when you have physical boundaries and when you have energy boundaries, that's what keeps the fly in the web. So, the more you try to escape this person, the more toxic they become. And the toxicity is the venom. It keeps you weak, it keeps you exhausted, it keeps you confused. You know things are wrong, you know you want to get out, but you do not see a way out because everywhere you turn, something ends up going wrong. It's almost as if it's a pattern. And it's almost as if it's intentional, right? So how do you get out? How do you escape? And the answer is you just get up and leave. It's hard. I've done it. So many people have done it. There's no way to make a graceful, peaceful exit. It's just, it's wartime. It's horrible, it's nasty, it's bitter. And, it sucks. And see, here's the thing. The way that they keep you under control is by making it abundantly clear that things will be far worse for you by leaving. So they make it such that, yeah, they're sort of intolerable and they're hard to get along with, but it's still better than leaving because of all the things you'll have to do. All the bills you'll have to separate, all of the change of addresses you'll have to do, all that shit. Maybe the utilities are in your name, and because they'll do that. They'll put stuff in your name, and then you can't change it. So, it's not easy to do. It's a lot of work, and I usually recommend take some time off work to get all that shit done, because it's a nightmare. You don't want to bring that drama into the workplace. But yeah, that's basically what you're dealing with. Now you're all wrapped up. Now you're weak. And now you see the spider. Ow, fuck. Ow, fuck again. Ow, stop it. Ow, fuck. Right? And what do? They just keep right on going. Now, you have to understand something very, very important. Nothing they say or do matters. Stop trying to think about it. Stop trying to think. What was it? There was a movie called Snatch, where he says, "You're thinking again. What have I told you about thinking?" Right? Stop thinking. Because you're sitting there and you're thinking, and that's what they want you to do. They want you to sit there and think, and that's why they make life so confusing and so difficult. Because when you're thinking, you're stationary. Think about that. I'll say that again. When you're thinking, you are stationary. See, the survival mechanisms, we say fight or flight, but that's not entirely accurate. Joe Navarro breaks it down in one of his books called What Every Body Is Telling You. Body is all capital. It's a book about body language. One of the first things he says is that the fight or flight response is wrong. In reality, it's freeze, flight, then fight. And so when you respond to something that's dangerous or uncomfortable or painful, your first reaction is freeze. Freeze. Which is what you're doing right now. If you're still stuck with a narcissist and you're trying to figure out how to leave and you can't, it's because everything they're doing is to just initiate you into that first stage of freeze. They're not trying to get you to run away, they're trying to get you to freeze, and that's what they're doing. So the reasons don't matter. They're going to give you a reason, and then they're going to change their whole explanation and flip the world upside down and gaslight you the next time it comes back around. Because every time you've had time to think about it, after you've thought and kind of sort of got things squared away in your head, then they come right back and they turn everything upside down in your head, and then you got to rethink about everything, and then they turn it upside down again, and you have to rethink about everything, and they do this again and again and again and again and again, and you're trying to follow their line of logic, you're trying to follow their reasoning, and that's the thing. It's not logical, it's not reasonable, it's not rational, it is emotional, and just enough to make you freeze. They're keeping you in place because you started wanting to leave a long time ago. You started to think about and contemplate leaving. You've been thinking of that and contemplating it for a while. They know, they're not stupid. Well, I know they can be stupid, but when it comes to relationships, they know. Oh, excuse me. There's a pattern that all the previous relationships have also followed. They sort of know when the writing's on the wall, and so that's what they're doing. And it seems strange because all of a sudden this person you thought you knew is somebody else entirely. And you're like, man, how can they just change like that? How can they just turn like that? And the answer is, they've always been that way. See, what happened is you fell for choreography. You caught them doing things that you thought were questionable, acting fake, being dramatic. You see, that's what drama is. Drama is nothing but fakeness, right? That's what causes drama, is fakeness. It's choreography. Because when people seek drama, you know, what they want is they want the emotional charge from it, right? And nothing gets people emotional better than being wrong about something, right? That's what people get most upset about, when somebody gets it wrong. So, that's what they do. But you gotta understand something. You fell in love with the choreography. You fell in love with the mask. You fell in love with the fake layer. You fell in love with the pretty, glistening web covered in dew. Dew. Right? That's what you fell in love with. And then you're like, oh, what a beautiful web you got. I'll just jump right in and oh shit. Right? And you come to realize this spider ain't your friend. You know? See, all they do is they come and they take 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 and they take. And then they take and 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 they take. And it doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what you try, doesn't matter. You're the fly stuck in the web. And the only things that they're going to do is constrain you further, i.e. make it more difficult for you to physically leave the domicile. So they're going to block you in somehow with bills, financial responsibilities, your name's on the lease, you're financially obligated for the lease. They're on the lease too, so you can't evict them. They box you in, and then they poison you with the toxicity to keep you weak emotionally, confused, frustrated, and not knowing what to do. And then whenever the lease starts to come up, whenever they see the writing on the wall, they start going and, playing around with somebody else. They keep it a secret. They're really good at keeping secrets. That's how they got you to begin with, right? And so they've been working on this person for a while. They've been grooming on this next person for a while. See, that's what they do. They line people up ahead of time. So then, ta-da, they don't ever want to be homeless. Why would they be homeless, right? So then once you've served your useful purpose, ta-da, they're with somebody you knew. And you're like, how can they just move on just so quickly? Well, the answer is they moved on long before you realized what was going on. They already had this cooking on the back burner. And you probably saw the signs and told yourself that they weren't signs. You probably ignored the red flags there. And now you feel stupid and guilty, and they're going to twist that knife even further. They're going to say, come on, you had to have known. How could you not know? You're like, well, yeah, I knew. I just chose not to listen to my intuition. So, anyways, that's about all I got. Thank you very much. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video.